Hi everybody, welcome to Two Mice on My Bookshelf, where I talk about mainly my fountain pen hobby and its associated activities. Before I start, please pardon me if during editing, removing all of my coughs, I miss a few because I did that in my last two videos. I am suffering from a seasonal cough for the last 8 or so years, and I'm still trying to get to the bottom of it. I have an inhaler and everything, and this year it has gotten worse. Secondly, I am reviewing this item from the Sojourner. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. And mainly my objection has been in terms of the leather quality. And to illustrate my review and the points that I'm trying to make with regards to the leather here, I have these two, also vegetable natural tanned leather. One by Atelier's Phileas, which unboxing I have posted. I'll link that up here, and I will review it in due course. And this is a glasses case of the glasses that I'm wearing right now from a company based in LA, I believe, in California, in the USA, which commissioned the making of this particular item in Italy. So I'm assuming the leather is also Italian, and the glasses are crafted in Japan. So for context, these are not a fair comparison. I'm just trying to tell you that. But I am trying to use these two to compare what a very good natural vegetable tan leather look like, or should look like, in my opinion, especially if you are paying these price points. Now, this is where I think this is only valid if you're probably outside of the USA. If you're buying as a domestic USA customer, this may be worth, it's more economical. It's more in terms of relative price. This might be more value for money or best value for money. I don't know. But I can only comment as someone living in New Zealand who have to pay import taxes, shipping, and currency conversion. And so this is for you. And in order to illustrate my point about why, in short, this is not as worth your money as this is, even though this is a couple of $100s more, I have to contextualize where I am and why the math is different for me, and it will be potentially for people in Europe, in Asia, in Australia, in the Pacifics, etc. So this is glasses, so the price point is a completely different beast, and so it's just sitting here to try to illustrate why I think this isn't very good. So, in my opinion, any items, for me, I value them in terms of the material, the construction, the craftsmanship, and the design. To some extent, the choice of material and the construction is part of the design. But I think in terms of quality control, in terms of production management and principles, I think the four pillars, in my opinion, need to exist. Quality of material, quality of craftsmanship, quality of construction, and quality of design. I mean, design is on paper. In the end, unless it translates out into a proper construction, executed with a proper craftsmanship and with the proper material, what you see on paper is nothing compared to what translates. And in terms of design, I believe they are very elegant. I love it, and that's why I looked at it for so long. And I finally decided to order one, which is this one here. As you know, I'm a lover of natural leather, and immediately I gravitate towards the natural leather. My old messages with them stated that this is vegetable tanned and undyed. And to me, natural leather is like ordering espresso or Americano. You don't do lattes, you don't do flat white, you don't do macchiato or macchiato or whatever, cappuccino. You just do Americano, just straight brewed coffee. You pour your own milk, you put your own sugar. That way you taste the beans. And for me, natural leather is like that. So when this arrived, I was really disappointed because as soon as I touched it, I knew the leather is inferior. So let's look at the craftsmanship. The craftsmanship is pretty good. It is a very simple construction, but I think it's very elegantly designed. So this flap was a bit problematic for a long time because when you sit there with your weeks like this, which you can see that I think that color is transferring there, and so you sit there, this flap keep going this way, and so you are constantly fighting with the flap going this way, and you have to finally, after some wear, you can see that it's beginning to flop, which I kind of expected. And so here you could see that it is, let me show you closer, that it's beginning to crack, and I did do this a couple of times. And I also put this under the sun for a long time, wanting it to patina. And what I felt as soon as I received this was that it feels like the leather is coated, and it feels dry and thin. It feels crispy and not in a good way. And so, but I thought to myself, maybe it's just me, maybe I don't know leather. As I said, I am not a leather expert. I am but an end consumer who is very enthusiastic about what I like. I know what I like, and I delight and take a lot of pleasure in the items I acquired. And so I did not derive pleasure from this leather because in the photo, I imagine it to be like this. I imagine it to be like this. Now, if you look at the patina, this has been out for 3 years. Now, okay, the tanning process is not the same. So this is new and it's darker, as you could see. So yep, it's not, this was new when it's like that. And then of course it was doused under the rain. I put this in my backpack, a backpack that is old. I didn't realize that the waterproofing layer, I didn't know that that is how waterproofing works. I didn't realize that it's kind of layered with something. I thought the material itself is inherently waterproof. I mean, it's not exactly Gore-Tex. I bought my backpack in the early 2000s, just before I went to New York in 2002. And I was still carrying it earlier, last year. So over 20 years old. And as you can see here, the black coloring of the backpack sort of leaked, and this was drenched under the rain. And I washed it with all leather. You can clean it with saddle soap or with leather soap. And anyway, my point is that that has been doused in water and soap and whatnot. And so originally, I want to show you the patina process. Originally, it was like that, or something like this. This is probably the closest to how it was. And so so different, not patina, different tanning, which is fair enough. So the tanning is different. That's fine. Okay. So they say this is vegetable tan. So this vegetable tan, or sometimes chrome tan. The point is that it's basically this type of leather, nude. And so let's go back. Now, even under the light, I want to show you that. Do you see that shimmer? And I'm going to compare with this one here. This is the part where it's difficult to see. On YouTube, on Instagram, this natural tan leather look exactly like what I hope it to be, which is uncoated, natural, undyed, vegetable tan, or maybe chrome tan, I'm not sure, but basically this nude where it can patina. But as soon as this arrived, I realized it isn't. And so I want to illustrate my point by doing this. And I don't want the water to go somewhere else. Okay, so I'm gonna do that. Okay, I will not do this to the other leather because it's, look at the beads here. These beads are not getting absorbed. It's just sitting on the surface. Here, on the other hand, where the coating have cracked, you could see that it is getting into the leather. And so what I am trying to say is that when I felt there was coating on this leather, I think there is that almost like it feels like a layer of nail varnish, like a varnish. It's how I describe it. And if you notice here, the varnishing have cracked, and that's probably why it's softened. And now the water is absorbed in there. Now, if this is all naked, uncoated, this water should be like that all over here as well, but it isn't. Now, this might be what you like, because I know a lot of people with natural leather, as soon as it started developing a patina, they wanted to replace it or fix it to return it to this kind of coloring. Or in some cases, they cover it with so much protective product because they do not want water droplets to leave a mark like this, that it impinge or it reduces the, I mean, if you imagine the pores are all covered, it interferes with the patina process and it doesn't patina. And I think that's what happened here. It really hasn't patinaed. If you look at this, it's different shading here, you can tell. So it's a little darker on top, like here, for whatever reason. So there is a level of patinaing, but it is this strange pinkish blush of a patina instead of something like this, instead of something like that, instead of this brown honey color patina that most vegetable tan, natural undyed leather tend to have. This have this sort of almost pink blush, strange shade of patinaing. You can see it prominent here. Now, so a lot of the talk here, a lot of the here as well, like this, I don't know what's going on here, but that's not a good sign. And the other thing is underneath, apparently, again, I'm not an expert, a leather expert. Please chime in below if you are, or if you know any other information which indicate that I am not quite in keeping with the reality of it, and maybe this is just a matter of shaving it. I don't know, but someone told me that the underside of, I think this is full grain. Again, I could be wrong. Let me know if this is full grain or top grain. So if this is full grain or top grain, either way, the underside is supposed to be an indication of how good the leather is. Now, the question is, can you shave this into this? I don't know. If you shave, let me check. If you shave this into this, wouldn't it be in danger of making it really, really thin? So someone can let me know. But if you just judge it from this, is it a matter of pressing? I don't know. I'm not sure. Again, providing this is a single grain leather or a top grain. Someone please let me know. I'm still quite unclear about that. So in short, the design is great, the construction is great, but the material is not good. Now, how do I know? Maybe this is just a one-off thing. So this is where I go into my experience with ordering from workshops where supplies of leather is inconsistent. And so I found that they tend to name their leather not with the name of the tannery name. So for example, Crazy Horse, like this from Gallon Leather, is the name of the tanning process or the tanning type. It's basically a tanning or a leather tanner focused naming or branding. While with smaller workshop, they tend to name the leather things like chocolate cake. And so it means that if you order chocolate cake the next day, it could be a different type of leather. But then you can't blame the supply or the shop, because the shop clearly said it's called chocolate cake, but the material may change at any time. And so you never know from brown leather to brown leather, from natural dye, no dye, tan, vegetable tan, undyed leather to vegetable tan, undyed leather. You don't know what kind of leather you're going to get. As I said, if you are in the US and if you're not paying a lot of money in postage, you can always return it. With $50 to $80 postage, when returning, you have to pay your own return fee because the other party as a small business can't take that hit. Like what happened with the cow. It's difficult. You have to keep it and you're stuck with it. And some of them will be gracious enough to issue partial refund or a refund. And again, as a small business, they can't afford to give you a refund. And you feel bad for asking. So you're stuck with this disappointment and $300 worth of leather cover that is beautifully made, but really in reality, quite mediocre in quality. It left her rather, it's not the best experience. So if you are outside of the US, I think it is important to know that what you're getting is exactly what you intend to buy, and that you need consistency above everything. So that if you order a natural tan leather, you know you'll be getting a natural tan leather. There is going to be a variety of different batches, but mainly they're consistent. And this consistency, the kind of quality consistency of natural organic product of a living, breathing thing that used to be this item. I mean, this used to be sitting on an animal that breathes, and an animal who loves, who have children, who wanted to mate, who enjoys the grass, who enjoys music, who enjoys the blue sky and the fresh breeze, who enjoys just sitting there looking at the sun. This used to be one of them. So what I'm saying is, to have this type of consistency, it takes a lot of effort and a lot of extra cost. The other thing is, with people eating less and less meat, we are in danger of getting into a place where these animals are going to be killed just for the skin. But that's a topic for a different story. My point is that there's premium to get that consistency. But for those of us who are living outside of the US, with almost $100 worth of return shipping or off shipping one way, currency conversion and taxes, it simply is not worth taking the risk of not knowing what you're getting, and also the price. This is 30% more expensive. So I'm going to put this aside since my illustration is complete. This is 30% more expensive than this. But if you know what you're getting every time you buy from these guys who are 30% more expensive, then paying $200 to $300, not knowing what you're going to get each time. I'm just saying the math doesn't work for people outside of the US. And so as much as I love the design, I look at the videos and look at all the design, and I really, really love the aesthetic. But the aesthetic completely changed as soon as you receive the item in real life and realize that the material is subpar. And it just became not really. So that's unfortunately, that's not so much a review of this model. That review, I can only say the flap is really annoying. But, it flopped, it softened, and it's okay, and it's good to have this closure here. I mean, the advertising goes like that, but I do it like this, and I put the pen in here, and the weeks in here. And so you have that nice secure closure, except for the top and the bottom, which is kind of nice because if you have something long, you could just insert it. It can stick at the top and at the bottom. So this model, you can find this sort of trifold model anywhere. So I didn't bother going into it, and it's personal really, but it's more the consistency of the material. Lacquer was such a pleasure at the beginning, and then when I reorder something, instead of saying that leather doesn't exist anymore, I was sent a leather of the same color, but it's of the different texture, completely different tanning process. It's different. I am aware of the variant of natural organic material. So that's not it. The variety, the variance is way beyond organic variance. It is to do with making a certain aesthetic consistent from a material that is organic and that is inherently inconsistent. That's really ultimately what you're paying for if you are going to have to spend $200, which unfortunately, if you're not in the US and if you're in locations where you have to pay shipping, taxes, and currency conversion, you're going to inevitably end up doing. So that's it. Bye.